Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another GrowthGrad podcast. This is our second episode. It's me, Rishabh, and I have Raj along with me. Raj, how are you today?
Hi, Rishabh. I'm good. And, like for the listeners who listened to the first podcast, we were talking about the freedom of location. So that's what I'm taking advantage of. Today, I'm at my hometown,
Nice.
came back to my parents' place. So, yeah, recording a podcast from here, and I'll be staying here for a month.
Good to see that, man. Like I miss that. I miss doing that. even with full freedom of location, time, everything.
Yeah.
It's just the phase of life when you have a baby and you have to take care of. But yeah, we try to go back home at least twice a year, 2 to 3 times a year, which is what I told you once on a call that you should go back home at least twice a year.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Actually, when we met in Delhi, that's when
yeah,
you told me have a quarterly thing
yeah.
for building the relationships with your family.
Correct. Always
Yeah,
helps. So making money online is probably like the three golden words that people search when they realize that there is more to life than what they are doing in their 9 to 5. And this podcast is to answer that question as to exactly how you can do that going forward in the coming years and this year in 2024. So this is going to basically be about coming from experience about different businesses that I've actually done myself in some form of the other or worked very closely with a client who's running that business, which can be done completely online, eventually leading to that freedom that we discuss and all of the freedoms that we discuss of time, location, and money, right? So, like we discussed last time, location is going to be the easiest to build, and some of these businesses will immediately give you that. And then eventually, we will discuss also how we can get freedom of time and money with these models, right?
yeah,
So you mentioned, Raj, last time that you were immediately able to get freedom of location through freelancing. So I was thinking, that could be like a good business model to start off with, where in a way that we can you can share your journey a bit about your freelancing journey in brief, and then we can discuss about the model itself.
sure. So back almost like 4 5 years back, I started my freelancing journey by actually writing research papers when I was in college.
I
Uh,
remember that.
yeah, so I was writing research papers to earn some money and just have some like some pocket full of money to enjoy the college days.
Hmm.
And gradually what I realized that I didn't sit for a placement because I wanted to be an actor. I wanted to move to Mumbai
Wow.
actually. Yeah. But then of course, like COVID happened, situations changed, and I had to start working and keep the acting thing on hold for a while.
No wonder why you're so
And
natural with the podcast, right? So, guys, just so that everyone knows, there's no script that we talk from. There are no. Sometimes we have some notes about points to cover, but today we don't even have that, and many times we don't have that. So that comes
yeah,
from Raj's natural acting skills, but the only difference is he's telling his real story. So let's hear
yeah,
about
I'm not acting. Yeah, so that's when I realized I need to get something going on, right? And I attended a webinar, got into the course of digital marketing, and got a job. Basically, like I was helping that company with their support chats. It was a SaaS company, and helping them with their social media content, blogging, etc. I was managing a team of interns to write content, and that's where I got the exposure to SEO and everything. And it helped me as well because like I was in an engineering college and they wanted like the final internship to be something technical.
it.
So SEO was counted as something technical.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then that's how I started. And parallelly, what I started doing was because I wanted to get a bit more income and grow a bit faster. I started reaching out to local businesses in my area. So it's very nostalgic for me to sit here when, like, 2 rows from my home right now, there is a pet store, and the board was made by me, like my
Nice.
my my partners as well, right?
Yeah.
So it's very nostalgic to even cross through that road, and that client offered me like $5,000.
And the story, I really like the story that tell people the story how you actually went into the store and just directly ask them, do you want
Yeah,
digital marketing services? I love that story because
yeah.
now people just think that we'll just DM on Instagram or something, where you have like this amazing story of how you landed your first client.
Yeah. So like it was a pet store. I have a pet. I went to into that store and I told the guy, he was a MBA grad, did some jobs and now starting his own venture. I told him that I know social media and content and this and that, and I can help you get more engagement, get more views, so that people know that in Vadodara there is a pet store by that name. And he was like, where is your PPT?
Hmm.
He was like a proper MBA guy. I said I don't have a PPT, but give me one day. So next day I went to him. I prepared like a 5-6 pager PPT and showed him, and he was kind of happy that okay, they took initiative, and he was like negotiating. And my heart was pounding when I said I'll charge 5,000.
Hmm.
And he said okay. And in 5,000 it's like social media content. We were also doing photography, video shoot for like whatever pets they
Right.
were having. So it was pretty fun, but yeah, that's how I got
Nice.
started.
And that's very exciting to know because I mean, we'll touch upon different kinds of ways that you can make money online, but I do have a friend who's trying to sell ebooks on Amazon. So they are becoming popular, that you write a ebook using Chat GPT or some AI tool, and AI does most of the job for you, and then people promise it will make thousands of dollars, etc. And I think he's been doing that for 6 months, and he made the first sale for 500 rupees or something like that. So just hearing the story of, okay, there is a realistic way where you approach a business, you say hi, and you walk out of the door the next day with 5,000 rupees a month, versus someone selling dreams of thousands of rupees per day or whatever, these things that you see on online. I know majority of them are just scams or some probably something shady going on behind.
Mm.
Um, but same is the story with me. I think the first client that I got was for my agency. So I did do some sort of freelancing. I wouldn't really call it freelancing because it was still more of a mediator model, which then extends to an agency. Because I was looking for people who need websites when I was in college, and then asking my college seniors who were in the web club, like the website club, to make those websites for me. And I would just buy them some samosa or chai, and they would be happy to make code out like a HTML page. In exchange for that, while here on LinkedIn, I'm reaching out to these Americans saying $500 for a standard business website, and they were like, "Oh, it's good, good. Let's do it." So I was like, "This is good, right? Like you buy a chai and samosa, and in exchange, you're getting $500. That's crazy markup." I don't do that anymore. Of course, I mean, if I feed you only chai and samosa, you're probably not going to be here. But
Yeah, I'll probably need vada pav as well.
okay, that's the add-on. But yeah, so that's really the most feels like the most realistic way that you could provide a service where you could actually still be evolving. And this is one thing that I have seen being marketed too much on YouTube and other channels, that you have to be the absolute expert at something before you start giving it as a service, which in my opinion is wrong, because none of us are absolute experts at anything. And there are things that we learn, and the best ways to learn are to have some client projects to work with. Of course, you charge less and you increase your pricing over time as you realize your value increases. So what are the things that you learned on this journey in terms of the freelancing as as a way to make money itself? How easy is it for someone, and we'll learn it from your story as well, to go if they're starting a freelancing, I like to call it a freelancing business. Some people call it becoming a freelancer. I prefer to call it starting a freelancing business, because then just by the change of the words, you see it in a different way. You start thinking about profit margins and start thinking about client personas, another thing. But becoming a freelancer seems more like I'll just do whatever I get my hands on. So what do you feel, if someone is starting today, in the next 6 months to 1 year, can they realistically make 50,000 to a lakh a month consistently with this business?
I think absolutely, because in my own journey, I was able to hit that goal of 50K to 1 lakh within a year, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, and basically my process, I think more that you spend time on it, you evolve and you learn better ways. And I think there are better ways today, just the way you mentioned, DMing people, getting in touch with them, because that gives you an access to the internet, and which is filled with people from every possible area, right? You
Right.
can get the advantage of dollar to rupees, etc., etc. In my case, what I was doing is I was still reaching out to my friends. So my one of my friends' father had a manufacturing unit, and they wanted a website. I was like, I'll get
Mm.
the website, because I was
Mm.
from the IT background, so I knew WordPress here and there.
Yeah.
Um, then I was doing some social media for another kitchen store, another store I walked in, and I was able to. So
Mm.
yeah, this is the way, right? So for the first client, as I mentioned, 5,000, we were doing everything, right?
Yeah.
The next time I went into a store, it was a zero waste store again in my hometown, and I was able to easily charge them 15,000 per month, right?
Right.
Because
Right.
now I had a proof and visibility of engagement, that I was able to clearly showcase the Instagram profile of that store, creatives, and everything, whatever work I had done. So
Right.
if so my if anybody wants to start freelancing, you need a basic skill that you are sure of that you can deliver, right?
Mm.
You don't need to be perfect, but at least you can deliver, right?
Right. Right.
Once you are able to have that level of confidence, go get the project at a lower cost, just to get the foot in the door.
Yep.
Deliver on that project 150%, so that for the next client you have the proof of, okay, this is what I was able to build. And then increase your price, right? So
Right.
it's not like
Yeah.
getting 50K from one client is the goal, but reaching to 50K is a goal, so that once you are over there, you will have enough case studies that you can eventually reach a point where you are charging 50K for a single client.
Absolutely. Yeah, and that's really the key thing here is that don't get into the zone of my first client should pay me X amount. Basically, you should be like my first client should be my client. That's all it matters for the first client. And then for the second client, what matters is okay, I increase my prices to a point where this is I know the value that I can deliver. But then the most important thing is to get the second client and to keep the second client. And while with the third or fourth client, you might start thinking about, okay, maybe I'm doing so much work and maybe I'm undercharging, and now I need to think about the prices. So that's how you grow. And when we so when we transition from a freelancer to an agency business model, which is the one that I picked, there are different ways that you think about pricing, because now you have an expense, you have a cost associated to the service that you will provide. With the freelancing model, it's like, okay, you are decently good enough at something that you'll be able to deliver it even if you don't hire someone else. In most cases, freelancers are going to be delivering the work themselves. While in the agency business, you might want to think about, I am going to work with this kind of clientele so that I can get the project done at this price point. Because if you find someone who is below that price point as a client, but your team who's actually delivering the work is at a higher price point, you won't make money. Same thing, if you really want to make a lot of profit margins, and you want to find client with a very good paying potential, but then outsource it to good people who are decently pricing their services but not very expensive. So that's the kind of freedom that having an agency adds in, that now you don't have to be the delivery. At the same time, it helps to manage the team once you know what the delivery is. So if you were to pick one, I would still say that starting with the freelancing is probably the best one. And then you could even participate or collaborate with agencies, which is what I've seen a lot of people do. Like we've had freelancers who do email marketing for ecom. We've had freelancers who do performance marketing, and they themselves collaborate with an agency where they say, okay, I don't want to build a whole stressful system of an agency of client acquisition and delivery and accounting and all of that stuff. Instead, I just collaborate with you. You pass me the projects and I'll get it done. So that's another
Yeah.
flexibility that I think comes with freelancing.
And actually, starting your journey with freelancing, I feel is way better, because let's say if you are in a business of I don't know, building a home, right? You
Mm.
need to understand the process of building that home, right? It's not like you can get some people to build the home and you'll be pretty sure of the quality.
Right.
Freelancing gives you that exposure. Let's say you are providing performance marketing services, you are running ads, let's say Facebook ads you are running, right? So initially if you are the one who is running the ad, who is managing, who is thinking about all the different angles on how you
Right.
can use performance marketing for a client and deliver them results,
Yep.
tomorrow if you're hiring 2 3 people to deliver that service, you will be able to first of all guide them, right?
Hmm.
And secondly, you will be able to talk to the client in a way where you are talking to them as a partner, not as a
Right.
service provider,
Yeah, and
right? You will be able to help them take
this is what I've
decisions.
seen is the difference when I go on discovery calls with new clients. I know that these clients go on other discovery calls with other agencies as well, but then when they talk to me, they feel they're talking to their CMO.
Hmm.
I am making strategic decisions because I am the marketing guy, I'm not the sales guy. But people who are going on these calls with sales guys, they know that they are being pitched. Now they might fall for a pitch, that's a different thing altogether, but they know that they are being pitched to, and they're not being given strategic advice from a experienced marketer. I think that's the difference. When you know how to deliver, when you know that skill, that becomes very evident. And actually, I feel that the sales becomes better because now you're not coming from a perspective of, I just want to close you to pay me this much per month. Now you're coming from a perspective of, I think these are the gaps in your marketing, for example, because I run a marketing agency, and these are the ways that we can fix this. And then, of course, there is a cost associated with those services, which becomes a proposal. So the process exactly is the same as sales, but then you're coming from a position of actually delivering value. So
Yeah.
yeah, I also feel that these are two business models that we'll keep coming back to, of course, because we've built most of our active income, so to speak, which we'll get to as well with freelancing and agency. But let's discuss one business model which I wanted to point out, Raj, because there was a guy who recently came to me and said, "Hey, Rish, I saw that you have a blog which you sold." So I had a blog which I started in college, and then I sold it recently. But the point is that a lot of people are thinking that what they can do is basically just start a blog and make affiliate income, which is a good business model. I'm not saying that it's not, but let's discuss, just like we did for freelancing and agency. Let's discuss the pros and cons of this one as well, and how much money can you realistically make. There is, of course, the top of the food chain in this. I don't know if you know Amit Agarwal, the guy who runs labnol.org. That's one of his blogs, who makes seven figures basically in USD, but he's basically sitting in his house, I think, in New Delhi and doing that. But the point is that he started a tech support sort of a blog, which has these tips for online websites way before they were like there was not even information on the official Google blog, and he was writing how to solve problems with Google Calendar and stuff like that. Like if you literally want to, like, even if now I want to put a link in my email, and if someone clicks on the link, they open a Google Calendar opens and the event gets added to Google. If you search for Google Calendar link builder or something, his website comes up. So all those things, like, he started ranking on that. He's doing pretty well. But the problem is, of course, you look at these few people who are doing really, really well, and then you think, anyone can do this. But that's not so true with these other business models as it is with freelancing, because with freelancing or agency, I feel you see people are doing it, you copy that process to some extent, and you actually can see the revenue coming in. But what about blogging and affiliate marketing? What are your thoughts? And then I'll share mine from experience, of course. What do you feel
Yeah.
without actually having this business model? What do you feel from outside?
No, so actually, there is a story. I had a blog
Oh,
called the
nice.
righttool.in,
Okay.
right? So over there, the entire idea of starting that blog was to, test affiliate marketing, how it works, etc.
Hmm.
Maybe collaborate with AdSense and get some CPC clicks, whatever
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah.
Uh, but that time, and in that blog, what I was doing was comparing tools, like, because that the right tool.in, so it was like how to
Nice.
find the right tool for yourself,
Hmm.
right? So that was the idea. But as you mentioned that in blogging, you sold your blog now, which you started way back,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
right? So it requires that constant level of work which has to be done. It's not like you sit one day and you'll write
2009.
thousands of
I started it
blogs.
in I started it in 2009. So,
See,
and I sold it in
over a decade.
2023. Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. So it requires that, if you really, and that can be done, right? But if you're thinking that, okay, I want to be a digital entrepreneur and I want to start making money tomorrow, affiliate marketing may not be the best way to do it, right?
Hmm.
Unless and until you have found some niche which is like crazy and there is zero competition, which is like, I don't think so that is even possible today,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. Because everyone has
So
covered most of the niches. Yeah,
exactly. So that's why I think it's not the best solution if you're looking to make money tomorrow, but over a period of time, if you want to keep investing your time over there, keep building it as an asset, right?
right.
Then I think over a period of time, it can either give you money or you can sell it. I mean, I would like to learn from you that because you sold it over a
Yeah.
decade, but in between you were maintaining it. So what was the process like, and were you making something month over month from there?
In fact, I sold it because I was not making enough. Right. I mean, I've never thought about selling something that works for me, and specifically something like affiliate marketing, which ideally should be passive. Now, let's just touch upon that a little bit so that people understand what we mean by this passive income thing. So when we are talking about freelancing or agency, typically we have active clients, which means clients, we work for clients in a month, let's say, and the client pays us at the end of the month. If we don't have the client the next month, we don't get the money. With blogging and affiliate marketing, we, let's say, write a blog. Let's say you write a blog about comparing two tools. You have the affiliate links of either one of the tools or both of the tools. Now you've written the blog, you've published it, somehow you get picked up by the SEO algorithms or Google search, and you start ranking, you get traffic on your website. People are buying one of those tools or both of those tools, and you're getting a commission out of it even after you've written the blog. And this could be for months to come, this could be for years to come, until some search algorithm change happens and your website gets penalized or whatever. But until then, you make money. So it becomes passive after a certain period of time. But initially, you are actively working on the blog, and even in the future, you will be maintaining your blog. You will still be, good part of SEO also means that you'll be technically optimizing your blog, which is what you mentioned about the internship. There is a technical aspect to SEO as well. There could be some updates needed on the blog. Let's say, for example, one of the tool changes their pricing plans. Now you might have to go back and change those, change the content. So that brings us to the conclusion that there's nothing really completely passive. However, that being said, I would still say affiliate marketing, blogging is still more passive than active compared to something like freelancing. So on a scale of active to passive, I would still place freelancing towards the active end, and affiliate marketing towards the passive end. That being said, just because it's passive doesn't mean it's good, right? And the reason for that is you can always, like, as a rule of thumb, you can always make way more money actively than passively, right? So in your present, but yes, in your future, you might want some passive income because it accumulates over time. That being said, if you want to accumulate wealth, let's say you're in your 20s and you want to accumulate wealth, I would do it actively because that's where most of the money is going to be. Now, important thing, opportunity cost. People who do not understand this concept, there is an opportunity cost. Whenever you say yes to something, you're basically saying no to something else because you're giving away your time to this particular thing that you said yes to. So every time you put your effort in generating passive income for the future, you are saying no to active income in the present. This is so important to understand because somehow to people passive income seems like that golden unicorn thing that we should all be chasing. And people also, like, there's motivational speakers who talk about don't think about immediate gratification. Put your heart and soul into a YouTube channel or a blog or something so that after 10 years you will make, I don't know, $500 per month. But the point is that if you make the cut, which a very few people do. But the point is that you have sacrificed those 10 years where you could be generating, as we discussed, lakhs per month by doing some active income. So I'm not saying it's a bad one because I've done it, but I never did it to become rich, to be honest. I never did it to make money. The reason why I did it was I was making notes. I was also in engineering college and I was making notes and basically just publishing my notes on this blog. That's how the blog had started, because I realized I was good at note taking, and the books were too thick, and I was getting a chapter into like 2 pages just because I wanted to memorize less before the exam. So I was like, how can I compress this whole thing into 2 pages based on the questions that keep coming in the exam, right? And then I started posting those on this blog. That's how it started, and that was in 2009, while I was still in college, mid college. And it did generate some income. I would say it was doing a few $100 at its peak, until it got hit by one of those search algorithms. So Google keeps updating their algorithms. But from 2009 until 2012, there was nothing. So 3 years there was nothing. In those 3 years, I was still focusing on my freelancing thing. So that's how I started making money. But there was nothing from the blog. 2012 to 2016, I would say, was the golden era of that blog, where literally people were coming and contributing articles now. Like people from other engineering colleges started coming in. So I gave a login. It was on WordPress. I made a guest authors login, and I just shared it with anyone on the on college forums and all. Like if you want to contribute an article, so I was doing mostly the notes from my subjects, and someone started doing programming and coding stuff. So there was a lot of programming tutorials on the blog. And we did test Google Ads as well. And that's when it started making a few $100s a month. But then the server cost and the cost of just the cost of actually the psychological cost of knowing that you want to make this profitable. It's been a while, but it's not making enough, was also too high, and I wanted to focus on other projects. So I just put it on Flippa and sold it on Flippa recently. So it was not out of, I made something big and I want to sell it. It was more about, I just can't deal with this anymore. I don't have time to look into the analytics. And I feel bad because I'm a marketeer. I wanted to go inside and probably work with some affiliate networks and add more affiliate links and run ads. But I just did not get time to do it. So I thought maybe, someone who wants to start an affiliate marketing business, they'll be better off taking my blog. I was getting 50,000 to 100,000 visitors a month. So it was not like a low traffic. It was pretty decent traffic, and someone can build on top of this. And now this guy who bought it is actually, publishing 2 to 3 articles a day. So he's getting really serious about the blog, and he's probably making much more than what I would have made with it. So it went into good hands. But that being said, first 3 years, nothing. Then for 4 years, a few $100s a month. Then it stopped again, back to zero because of the algorithm changes. And we were literally banned from Google Ads twice because of someone posted, because I gave this guest author logins away. There were things like Yahoo Messenger chat groups and stuff at that point of time. So I gave it someone, and then some Pakistani blogger picked it up. Not that he's Pakistani or anything, but he just probably wanted to write something. But instead, he didn't write anything wrong. But for some reason, he mentioned some link related to gambling. Maybe he was trying to get some money from a gambling link insert. So that got blocked at that point of time, 2015 or so. And then we had to basically sign up a new Google Ads account and do that whole process again. Before, we used to also have these unethical Yahoo Messenger chats where you could put your blog link and they will click on the link ads for you, and you would click on the ads for them. So I joined one of those click exchange communities, and Google found out. So Google blocked me completely at that point of time from Google Ads. And then I told my mom. I was like, who should I tell about this? I told my mom, Google blocked me for running ads. I was 19. So it was okay. So, but at that point of time, I was like, okay, I will not do this link exchange and weird stuff. I really want to provide value to people like that.
Yeah.
That's how we make money. So yeah, then I just stopped ads completely. So
But
that's,
tell me something. What do you think about this? Because this is something that I thought I have not done it so far, but you have the experience in affiliate marketing and stuff. That if I started freelancing, right, it gave me enough cash flow,
yeah,
right? Now, if I have this cash flow and I'm going into the route of adding more people under my wing, so essentially moving to a pseudo agency kind of a thing,
yeah, yeah.
right? Not a complete agency, and then that will give me enough cash flow that tomorrow if I want to experiment with a blog, right,
Mhm.
I can pay a guy 20-30 bucks to
Mhm.
just focus on building that blog for me. I mean, with that cash flow you have that advantage of building your own passive income without sacrificing your time. Like,
Correct.
you can think of the idea just the way writetool.in, that was an idea that we'll compare tools, we'll get the best information out there,
Hmm.
we'll get the traffic, and then just hire somebody that you own this,
Yeah.
do it, right?
Yeah.
And you'll pay them fairly well. Right. So you are basically investing just the way we grow a plant. We
Yeah,
give it water, we give it sunlight, we make sure every nutrition is there. Eventually, the fruits are uh, ours.
correct,
Right.
correct.
So, what do you think about this leveraging other people's time for affiliate marketing?
Yeah, I agree. I would just say, just like the opportunity cost of time, there is an opportunity cost of money. So you have cash flow, right? Um, how do you want to use that cash flow? Now you have many options of ways that you can use that cash flow, because you maybe don't need so much for your personal requirement. You could build online business models. You could build a blog. You could start some sort of affiliate marketing, whether it's through a blog or maybe a YouTube channel. There are faceless YouTube channels that are coming up. You could pay someone to build an app, which is another model that we'll come to. You could invest in some sort of Amazon FBA or e-com drop shipping, which is another business model. Then there's an opportunity cost of which one you want to do, because you won't be able to do the others. And if you want to do something, I feel the best one is where your experience could add value. So it could be, I mean, if you're good at, and I know you are good at building funnels with Facebook ads, it may not be the best experience to add value to an affiliate blog. For that, maybe SEO could be a good one. For your skill, I could probably recommend starting like an online info product or an ebook or a course, which I know there are so many of them, but the funnels still work to some extent. And that is why we are also building GrowthGrad to some extent, because we are using our skills that we have from experience, even though as of now we don't think of this like as a business, but a way to just spread value. But that's the best way to think about it. Eventually it grows into a business. So I would just keep in mind, like, there is an opportunity cost of the money that you're going to put into this. So how I like to do it is, the cash flow that I have from the agency, I like to put it in SaaS experiments. So small startup software experiments. So because eventually, beyond the agency, if you want to make more, then you have to go for SaaS. That's like the next upgrade that you get from the agency business model. But keeping in mind that we are doing this podcast for a beginner audience, that's definitely not recommended to start off with. Any of my friends who run a SaaS or a software business, if I would ask them, and I did ask them, is this good for beginners? The answers range from no, never, I don't think so, probably not, to somewhere in the range of maybe not. Right? So but if you, and there's data to show this, that if you ask any freelancer or agency, specifically freelancers, of course, that is this a good business model for beginners, I think 100% of them will say yes.
Yeah, yeah. I have recommended freelancing and how to get clients to so many people that
Right.
I have connected over the few years.
Right. So yeah, I think to summarize the cons, it's going to be quite unreliable in terms of income, the blogging and affiliate marketing. Even if you make, I mean, even if you make some money, it would be very hard to say that you'll make it for the first 6 months, to be very honest. You might be trying to rank for certain keywords, and if you find a good niche which is low competition and there's high potential, you probably, there's high search, you know frequency, search volume is pretty high, but the competition is too low, then you might be able to rank for some keywords and then get organic traffic. There's almost no guarantee that you'll make that kind of money in the first 6 months to 1 year, that we can say with freelancing, right? So that's the business. That's for the affiliate marketing. Now you mentioned about building a funnel, which is why you mentioned about what can you do with cash flow, which is why I mentioned digital info products. Now there are various digital info products, so we are just classifying that as one business model. It's hard to like talk about each, but every business within a digital info product will have its own challenges. Let's keep courses aside, but let's first discuss like a product which is non-course, which is not a course, but
Yeah.
that could be ebooks, templates. I've seen people even do design templates, even
Notion templates. I
Notion
mean,
templates. That's a big one.
so what I've realized with this digital products, because as you mentioned that it is aligned to somewhere with my skills. So
Hmm.
I don't experiment, but I research about what all digital products are there, and what I've realized, to sum it up, is that you need to find something which is already popular,
Hmm.
and how you can solve a problem inside that. Just the way I mentioned Notion templates, there are so many people using Notion, and typically the persona of a person using Notion is someone who is having that affection towards high value things,
Hmm.
right? So if you are able to help them create some templates that is going to help make their time easier, which is going to help them use Notion in a better way, right, to organize their life, organize their agency systems, whatever it is, the capabilities of Notion are pretty endless.
Right.
They will be more than happy to pay you, right? They will be more than happy to join your waiting list for your next template,
Hmm.
right? So this is just one example, which is like apart from the courses, which I think is pretty good.
Yeah. So moving to courses, right? Courses is where at least our market. I mean, I've seen courses launched in the US market now targeting Indian markets by changing their content slightly. So our market is endless. There's also on the other side the supply of teachers is endless. Everyone is a guru. So in some field or the other. Now, of course, if you really want to build a course business, this is the only place where I would actually recommend that you have expertise before you build a course. I don't say that with freelancing because I know that you can learn on the way. But building a course will actually, the value that you will be able to add to people will come from personal experience, is how I feel. And which is why I feel that people love the courses that I put out, because every course basically is a result of some case study that I did for a client or for myself. What do you think about that? Because now I know that there are people who are just beginners and trying to build a course with AI and other things. I don't think that that adds any value to the marketplace. It might make some money for them, but that my personal experience is, how does this add unique value to the marketplace? Is what I feel with a
Yeah,
course.
yeah. I mean, just one question anybody can ask, like, why did they hate their school or their college,
Yeah.
right? I think majority of our listeners are having that sort of a issue. But
Correct.
just imagine why you were having that, because the professor or the teacher would come to the stage, come in front of the blackboard, and read out the book or explain the theories,
Correct.
right? You were not able to, when I was in engineering college, it was all about IT, information technology, building products. But what we were learning is pure theory,
Hmm.
right? There was no such certain, insight thing that was coming out,
Right.
right? And that is one of the reasons why I have decided not to go for an MBA, right? I would
Yeah.
rather do businesses and learn,
Right.
right?
Right.
But that's based on personal preference. But over here, the point is that if I were to help you learn Facebook ads, and I would just read 10 documents of how Facebook algorithm works and just share it with you, right?
Yep.
That this is how the Facebook algorithm works, these are the buttons, etc., etc. You will be able to launch a campaign, but there will be zero confidence because I have not given you the insights
Hmm.
of small things that really matter to make a successful Facebook ad, right?
Right.
Maybe I've done 10 different experiments with 10 different industries. B2B is a different, B2C different, D2C different. And
Hmm.
I'm able to give you personalized insights based on my experience for each of these cases. Tomorrow, if you're reaching out to the client, you will have that experience carried by my course, right? So
Right.
this is where I think you need to ask that question: why you
Hmm.
hated your teachers in the first place, why you hated the entire curriculum in the first place,
Yeah.
and make sure that you are not the same, right?
Yeah, and that actually brings me to the reflection of this loop that I have been doing, which is to learn first, then to execute it for a client as a freelancer slash agency. And then once you've executed it, you document it. You document it into a case study. You document all the steps that you've done to actually achieve those results. Now, once you have documented it, it's way much more clear in your head as to how you actually did it, and then you teach it to others, right? And then you can actually repeat this cycle to build the next product, the next course, by having your next project, executing for that, learning, and then documenting it, and then teaching it to others, and basically repeating this cycle. I think that's what I've done throughout the last 12 years, where, the first thing, I launched the growth hacking book, right? That was a collection of the growth hacks that I did for clients. Then, based on all the clients, of course, the book that I launch, I take 5 years to launch one book. So that's a lot of learning that has happened. So while the loop sounds like small, it takes time to learn and execute and document. But the e-commerce course I launched within 2 years of scaling a e-com brand, because I went from zero to $1 million in the first year and 1 million to 4 million. So that was a lot of data that I could collect in 2 years. I could launch the course in 2 years instead of 5 years, right? So the more you've executed, the better you are in a position to launch a course. So you could probably spend like the first 4 or 5 years doing active income generation through freelancing, executing for clients, and then learning that, and then teaching it to others. And by that time, you'll have so much insight, like you said, that will make the difference between you and someone who's basically like your school teacher, right? Reading out from the book.
And that's why nobody will be able to call you a fake guru or something like that, right?
Exactly.
You always have those case studies, the results that you have gotten for your clients,
Yeah.
right? Nobody can question your authority. People may have different way of doing things, but that does not say
Right.
that your way is not right.
Correct.
Right,
Correct.
and I think that's very evident with in your case, Rishabh, because we are having GrowthGrad, we are having GrowthGrad Pro, where all these people are there. They
Yeah.
are accessing our courses. We are coming on calls with them. I'm speaking to them. The people in the community are having so much high regard for you because majority of these people discovered you through your courses, through the content that you are putting out,
Right.
right? They have such a high regard for you because they know that, boss, this guy has not, like, he's not sending us email every 2 day ke
Yeah.
course le lo,
Yeah.
right? He does something. He makes sure that the product will add value to people's life, and he then pushes out an email recommending it,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
And so the process is entirely so natural. We were also discussing one way that we are
Yeah.
not salespeople, we are good marketers,
Right.
right?
Right. Right.
So we are able to create that environment. You are able to especially create that environment with your courses as well, and people are getting value, and that's how they are ending up in GrowthGrad Pro. They are joining master classes, and they are getting value over there as well.
Right. And even when we get on these calls, one thing that I do is I just tell people this is the process that I followed. And I mean, I'm not saying take this medicine and you will be, you will be cured. But I just said I took this medicine and it worked, right? So if essentially it's like, okay, this is the blog I started in 2009. I sold it last year. This is what happened in the 10 years. Now, this is the blueprint to that. If you want to repeat something like this, if you would like to build a blog and sell it, maybe it takes less time for you. There was no AI. Obviously, I was writing every word myself. So that was the issue there. But the important thing which you mentioned here was also, about online coaching and getting on coaching calls. So that I can take that and transition into open up one more option for people as a business, which could be online coaching or consulting. Very briefly, I think the biggest con of this is just the limitation of time, right? So you would basically sell out your calendar and then you won't have any time left unless you are operating at a very high ticket size space, like probably we are, where you can actually make a lot of value from spending less time and having people get way more value within that short time. And I think that comes with a lot of experience, because if you've seen a lot of things, then you're able to pinpoint, okay, this is the problem that this person has and this is the solution. I've seen it in the past. Now this solution will fit in here. So you're able to fit it in within those 30 minutes or 45 minutes. While someone else might have to say, okay, I'll think about it and get back to you, spend a week on that. So in that case, just the online coaching becomes in a negative profit margin if you calculate the time that you put in. So most people don't. So they just think, okay, I'm getting this much money from my online coaching, but how much time are you putting there? What's your hourly rate look like? If you haven't calculated that, you need to calculate that first. How much money can you make in a month divided by the number of hours that you work? That's your hourly rate. If you're in a job, how much is your salary divided by how many hours that you work is sort of your hourly rate. So it becomes very easily becomes a negative business model if it's done by someone who doesn't have that kind of experience. So it's really, I think, not a beginner way as per me to make money like online coaching, unless you're just
Yeah.
naturally very good at something, which I personally don't believe that people are just naturally good at very something that they could be naturally good at something themselves, but not in a way that they can explain it to others if they haven't done it before.
True, true. I mean, in terms of coaching business as well, you mentioned coaching and consulting. What I think is it's better if you have that skill, even if you're working at a job as a manager or
Yeah.
you have honed that skill, right? It's very easy to start the consulting,
Yeah.
get your hands dirty over there, and then transition into like a group coaching mastermind
Correct.
kind of thing.
Correct.
Because then you will be able to see what is a problem that you are able to solve for your audience, and then you can, mass produce that
Yeah.
value
Yeah.
for a similar set of people.
And even
So
before,
that,
even before a mastermind, because you mentioned also that, a lot of people found me through my content. Even before doing that, what you can do is you can start creating content and see how people are responding to that content, because that's exactly how you're going to be as a coach. If you're creating content, the way that you talk, do people understand what you're saying? Are people saying, oh, you're such a good teacher, we really understand, we resonate with this? Are people saying, the way that you explained this, it opened my eyes? Or, recently from the productivity call that we had with GrowthGrad Pro, which is our premium community of entrepreneurs, freelancers, agency owners, for people who don't know, we had the call, and a lot of people came back and said, this really opened my mind, this really got me into this way. That's the feedback that I work on and say, okay, these are the kinds of ways, the ways that I'm delivering the message that are working really well compared to the others. So this is what I want to do more of. So this creating content will give you a place to experiment with the style that you will follow when you start your coaching, right?
true, true. I mean, again, when we talk about coaching and community, again, what I feel is the limitation of scale that it
Yeah.
comes.
Yeah.
So, what are the other options that are available to make money online, but this time at scale,
Yeah.
right?
So when we talk about scale, one thing comes to mind is drop shipping and e-commerce, right? So it may be drop shipping and e-commerce combined, or maybe e-com with some other model. And to some extent, of course, it's not as scalable as a digital info product, and not scalable as a software, which we'll go to next. But it is definitely scalable to the extent of, not of to the extent of making a few lakhs a month, but the problem that it comes with is the low profit margins versus something like a freelancing or an agency business. Because typically with dropshipping, you have a physical product, right? And but definitely more scalable by selling compared to selling your calendar. Because if you're selling your calendar, you're basically selling your hours, right? So you only have limited hours in the day. Now we are going from this to more scalable stuff. I would place e-com dropshipping as the next one, and then I would place something like a software or a SaaS, which is towards the end of the scale of scalability, and content falls somewhere in between, right? So content and then code, right? So content falls somewhere in between, where it's a big leverage, slightly less than code, but definitely more than any services that we spoke about, including freelancing, agency, which are our favorite business models. But let's be honest, they are not that scalable, right? That is the biggest problem in this business model. Great to start
Yeah,
with,
yeah, like
you have good cash flow, and then you have to build something more scalable, right?
true, true. I mean, with freelancing as well, I remember initially when I started working, I started developing that cash flow, and eventually I hired other freelancers as well to
Yeah.
deliver on it. And that's the only way I was able to achieve scale, because
Correct.
it, after a certain client number, if I'm talking about for an independent freelancer, it's not even fair to your existing clients that
Right.
you are taking one more client and you won't be able to deliver the value that you were initially delivering,
Yeah.
right? That is where the scale comes in. And you mentioned drop shipping.
Yeah.
So I personally haven't tested anything related to drop shipping.
Mm.
That has been lingering in my mind, because I think with digital online money making thing,
Hmm.
it's always good to just test everything. At least for me, right?
Yeah.
I would rather fail than just dream and not test it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So that is one thing that has always intrigued me. But of course, there are so many things related to it which are nowhere close to what I have experience for. I can sell the product, but in terms of operational challenges, shipping, X, Y, Z, I have zero experience.
Hmm.
But you have worked with a lot of e-commerce clients as a fractional CMO as well. So, what is the overall story behind this single word called drop shipping or
Sure.
e-commerce?
Sure. So just before answering that, because this point just came to my mind, some people may not be aware. So just to fill them in, about the four forms of leverage, we have, like Raj mentioned, he was a freelancer and then he got other freelancers on board. So he's leveraging people essentially. Now there is so people and capital, which is money. People and money are the two forms of leverage which we are both leveraging already, Raj. Now the upper two forms of leverage are content and code, right? And the reason why these are upper is because of scalability. It's more scalable when you leverage content and code. You'll likely build a more scalable business than when you just leverage capital and people. Of course, to build a fully scalable business, you leverage all four things, right? So that being aside, just wanted to clarify to people who don't know about the forms of leverage. Let's come to drop shipping. So I used to work with clients in a typical agency model in the past, which is where I came to this world of Shopify, e-commerce, drop shipping, and how things work. And just in a nutshell, for an absolute beginner, what you're doing is you are actually selling a physical product, but someone else makes the product, someone else ships the product. So all you have to do is the online stuff, right? So you're finding buyers, whether by building online sales funnels, ads funnels, getting traffic to your website of people who will eventually buy that product, and then you don't have to worry about anything else. So that's drop shipping, right? In a nutshell. But when you look at the things and the details into drop shipping, sorry, there's still some inventory management that happens. It's just that you are not doing it. There is still product stock that has to be maintained, just that you are not doing it. But when you're not doing all of these things, you are bearing a cost for all of these things, which makes the profit margins of dropshipping come to the 10 to 20% range. Versus when you look at a freelancing or agency where it could be 50%, 60%, those are not crazy numbers with freelancing and agencies. But with drop shipping, it's typically in a 10 to 20% range. The good thing is that you check your dashboard, you run certain ads, and you're able to pick this business model up. Whether you can scale it or not is a different question. Now, this was a very, very good business model when Facebook ads were cheap, right? That's the time when this business model really shined. And that's when you had the era of drop shipping, like, which seems to have been dying now in the international markets. And some people do have the argument that the era of drop shipping in India is still up and coming, just like it was in the US back then. Now it's going to come up in India. I doubt that to some extent, because in India is majorly a cash on delivery market. So there are other concerns as well. Once you haven't got the money yet, and drop shipping, sometimes the fulfillment rates can be low if your vendor is not able to ship on time, etc., low inventory. So there are concerns to that as well. But definitely, if you were to start a drop shipping store internationally, you would need to be an expert marketeer to do that in today's world. And there are so many pieces that you need to get right in now, because ads were getting the first profitable order in the past, but that doesn't happen anymore. Ads just get you traffic, or maybe the first order, but it may not be the first profitable order. Then you need to have retention channels set up. Then you need to have omni-channel marketing. You need to retarget those people. You need to get them in your email list. You need to get them in your SMS/WhatsApp list, depending on what geography you're in. You want to have a brand on social media. Like, if you build such a big business, it's better not to rely on a drop shipping model in today's world.
You just listed out everything that we do for our clients.
Exactly. And that's where that's where I found the agency to be much more valuable as a business model for me, because I could do all of this for someone else, but I don't want the stress of actually fulfilling the product, right? Now,
True.
a lot of people say, you are really good at this, you do all of these things for your clients, why don't you start your own drop shipping store? And that's why I actually transitioned to a fractional CMO role. I said, I can own 20% of 5 stores instead of owning one store 100%, and diversify my risk across these stores and make way more money than I would by doing my own store experiment, right? The numbers are examples, but what I mean is, if you're in a business like this, you want to, and you know that you're able to add value to your clients, you want to try to own a part of that business instead of doing things that you don't want to do, right? I don't want to take care of the supplier sitting in China or wherever, I don't know, but I don't want to take care of that. I don't want to take care of someone who said, I got my order 5 days late, what are you doing, Rishabh? And I'm like, no, I'm just running ads. So
Yeah, it really I am able to recall a statement by, I think it was by Nikhil Kamath. Somebody had asked him like, how are you a billionaire at such a young age, and etc etc etc, and he was like that I was able to find two three things that I was good at,
Hmm.
and then I just
Hmm.
stick with them
Right.
till date.
Right.
I think that's where we are going ahead with, like, we
Yep.
chose marketing as a thing, right?
Yep.
Let's stick to marketing, and the leverage as well as the satisfaction
Right.
that will come after delivering marketing as a service, because that is what we are good at, that is what we like,
Correct.
that is what we have really worked hard on,
Yep.
right? It's much much better. And as you mentioned that today bringing that first order profitably in the international market is a challenge. So I mean, you need to have that level of thought process of a really, really good marketer who is able to think
Right.
from all angles, not just, okay, what my CTA should be,
Correct.
right?
Correct. And not just like not just from a perspective of marketing technically, but also like the creative aspect, because that's how you can now stand out of the market by being more creative, right? So there's UGCs, there's creative copywriting, hooks, all of these things that play a much more important role versus, in those times when you would just basically run an ad and you would find Facebook would find an audience for super cheap, that you could drive so much traffic that even if a few people convert, still make money on the campaigns, right? So that said, there is one thing that I do want to mention, that the Indian market behaves differently. But if you experiment with a dropshipping model, the other challenge would be to actually get to that level of profit of 50,000 to a lakh that we discussed. It could not happen. That's the first thing. Right? But if you find some unique crazy product and are able to build a funnel, it could take a long time to do that. Right? So
And plus, this is not just an investment of time; it's an investment of money as
money
well,
as well.
because you are
Right.
directly running ads. You are trying to fulfill it. If there is a return,
Yes.
that you are bearing that
Yes.
cost as well. So after a lot of experimentation over months, years of time and money, then you are able to find that one product or one niche
Yeah.
through which you are able to scale. So it's
Right.
not like it's not possible completely, but
Yeah.
at the same time, it requires a lot of money and time to
Yeah.
find that winner thing.
Exactly. So you need to find winner products for which you have to put in capital. So investment of capital could be another big con of this particular business model. So yeah, the final one I think up the ladder is software SaaS, which is I mean I don't mind just saying that this is up the ladder. This is the business model that you eventually want to get at. And the reason why I say you eventually want to get at is the same reason that I explained earlier, is that no one recommends it for a beginner, right? You eventually want to build this business by generating cash flow from your freelancing or agency. There are a lot of small pieces in the puzzle when it comes to software SaaS, and it's typically not a one person business, though it can be a one person product to start with. But to build a scalable business, it may not be. It's definitely not a one person business. So that's another concept that is being popular these days, about people discussing about one person business models. And I think all of the businesses, except the software, all of the businesses we discussed so far can actually be one person business models. You could start it alone. And some clients that have come to us, Raj, have been doing it alone for so long, and then they've hit a plateau, and then they've come to us, but they have definitely started alone and sustained it. Out of all of these business models, as a conclusion, which is very clear, if you're a beginner, if you're starting out, freelancing is going to be the best pick for you to see those numbers, to get into that cash flow, to get the experience, to build up case studies. And then slowly you can either keep scaling as a freelancer unless you hit a peak, and then you can transition into an agency partner slash a pseudo agency slash become an agency. All those options are open. And another option that opens up is to actually experiment with some of these other business models. As you can see, Raj, sharing with us that he's trying to experiment with other, or open to experiment with other business models, because he's able to build the base foundation first with freelancing.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you are able to generate the cash flow, able to get that experience which comes with freelancing, that sets you up to, test multiple things in the future. And I would also recommend people who are doing like a job as a executive, senior executive manager, to get your hands dirty here and there.
Right.
right?
Right.
Like we discuss so many business models. Pick one. Make sure that you're experimenting, because you never know what will pick up,
Yep.
and that can be your way out of the system,
Right.
right?
And to make the experiment easier, at least when it comes to freelancing, we have the freelance accelerator, which we would definitely love to invite everyone to join. And if you're serious about freelancing, even more serious than, and you feel that you've already crossed the acceleration stage. So if you're already a freelancer, but you're not able to see those numbers, probably you are at 50K, you want to get to a lakh. That's the kind of people we are looking for GrowthGrad Pro. And this is already a network of people who are in that position or on that journey, same as you. Some people who will be ahead of you in the journey, some people who will be slightly behind you in the journey, possibly, and some people will be the same level as you. And those are the three best people to learn from and share experiences with. So this community brings those people together, and we're all like-minded people. So some of us are agency owners, some of us are freelancers. We both, are extremely involved in the community itself. We have regular events. So welcoming everyone to join either the accelerator or GrowthGrad Pro based on what stage you're in. If you come to us through the accelerator, we'll make sure you are in a stage where you can join the pro community by accelerating you exactly what we say. So, yeah, we'll put the form and the link for both of these things in the video description. Anything else, Raj, that I've missed that you want to cover?
No, I think that's pretty much it. And at the end of the day, it all boils down to how much you are able to execute. So
Right.
again, just the way we discussed in the last call, the takeaway is to keep experimenting, right? And
Absolutely.
of course, like freelancing and agency are the places where you will find that cash flow. And there are other business models as we discussed along with their pros and cons. But yeah, keep executing and keep experimenting.
Love it. Keep executing, experimenting, keep learning, and keep growing. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you in the next podcast. Bye.
Bye bye.